Coming up on the next Making Moves, funding obstacles will not deter JTA's plan to expand the Skyway into Brooklyn. A JTA board member is one of Jacksonville's women of influence. And we celebrate our first 5 years of Making Moves with a special look back at some of the people we've met along the way and some of the most important stories we've been able to share with you. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. All that and lots more next on the Season 5 finale of Making Moves. Welcome everyone to the Season 5 finale of Making Moves. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Our top story today, JTA had hoped to win a $10 million federal grant to expand the Skyway into the burgeoning Brooklyn neighborhood of Riverside. But when U.S. Transportation Secretary Anthony Foxx announced the winners last month, JTA's name was not on the list of 52 projects that will share the nearly $500 million in grant funding. Well, joining us now to talk about how this affects the JTA Skyway expansion plans into Riverside is Brad Thoburn. Brad is JTA's Vice President of Long Range Planning and System Development. Of course, Brad, welcome to the show, especially to talk about this Tiger grant. You know, we really were hoping that we were going to get that, but now that we have it, is there any explanation yet as to why we didn't get it, and what are your thoughts about it?
Well, we don't have an explanation yet, but the U.S. DOT is really good about reaching out and meeting with folks who are interested in finding out why they didn't get the grant. Keep in mind, there were less than 1 in 10 actually received funding. In fact, there was $9 billion in applications or funding requested, and $500 million was awarded. So it's extremely competitive, and there are a whole lot of folks out there that are looking for explanations of why they didn't get funding. But it's really important looking forward because there will be future rounds, we hope, of Tiger grants, and we want to know how we can strengthen our grant, how we can compete better, or we want to know whether this is the type of project they're looking for in the Tiger grant itself. It may be that they tell us there are other ways you can fund this project and you need to look elsewhere. So it's really, they're very good. It's an excellent, the DOT is great about reaching out and interacting with the potential funding partners.
And which brings us to the next question. Since the Tiger grant is not an option now, what could be our means of getting the money for the expansion?
Well, right now we're thinking about, we're going to focus on, you know, future Tiger is a possibility, but then what we need to do is look at how we strengthen ourselves for future applications. And so one of the things we're going to do immediately is look at a long-range system plan for the Skyway, assess the technology so that when we have future opportunities like Tiger or other funding opportunities that come up, that we're better positioned, because we really feel like if we're taking a project forward that's part of a broader plan that involves, you know, maybe we've prioritized future extensions, we're looking at how it integrates with our bus system a little better, how does it interact with future commuter rail and the JRTC. All of those things help support future applications. So that's really the thing we're focused on right now. How do we strengthen ourselves in the future for future opportunities?
And I think this is also what you were just talking about when we're talking about trying to maybe go into other neighborhoods, you know, versus just going into the San Marco area, to the Brooklyn area, Riverside, beaches, how about Arlington? When we're talking about that, I mean, people would really like that. I mean, they voice that opinion, but how do you get it there?
They do, and that's one of the things you hear, because a lot of folks who are critics of the Skyway aren't critics because they don't think we should have it at all. They think it should do more. And so one of the challenges we have is understanding that the Skyway itself is a circulator program. It's an urban circulator. So some of the things that people want to see, going to the beaches, going to the airport, maybe Mandarin, Arlington, whatever it might be, those are the kind of things that require us to rethink the technology and see what opportunities there are in the future. It may not be that it's the Skyway itself, or it may be that there's some transition into something that allows it to go at grade and not be an above grade extension beyond downtown. That's why the technology and system planning effort is so important.
Okay, so there's still more to come. This is not quite finished yet, especially as we get the evaluation, so to speak.
It is, and it's really been a great process for us because it's helped us change the discussion about the Skyway. You know, our CEO has challenged not only us but the community to think bigger, and this is about all of that effort to really think big about where we want to be in transportation perspective as a community and what role the Skyway plays in moving people and strengthening downtown. So it's really started a positive discussion.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Brad.
Thank you.
And we look forward to hearing a lot more about that transportation and the Skyway. And if you haven't taken a ride on the Skyway lately, now is still a good time to give it a try. The JTA board has approved a plan to keep the Skyway free, that's right, free of charge, for another year. This will be the third consecutive year that riders no longer have to pay to ride the downtown trains. Since going free, ridership has skyrocketed to more than 1 million trips per year. In particular, the Skyway has been extremely popular with festival goers at events like One Spark, Community First Saturdays, and Art Walk. The 2.5-mile Skyway has 8 stops in downtown in San Marco and runs from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. The Skyway is also open during select special weekend events, so be 1 in a million and take a ride on the Skyway. In other news today, it's expected to shave both minutes and miles off the commutes of thousands of drivers in northern St. Johns County and southern Duval counties. Of course, we're talking about the new 4-mile-long 9B connector. Phase 1 of the project, which runs between US 1 and Bayard to I-295 East between the Phillips Highway and Bay Meadows Road exits, was open to the public in late September.
It will help alleviate some of the congestion between US 1, I-295 East, and I-95 for Duval County and St. Johns County commuters.
There was one major change to the project from its original design. It's now much wider. Sanderson says that's a nod to the anticipated future growth in that area.
Several construction projects throughout the state came in under budget, and that allowed for additional funding to be added to this project. And what we did with that additional funding was we added an additional 16 feet of concrete pavement onto the roadway. So while the initial plan was to open State Road 9B with 4 lanes, we will still open it with 4 lanes. However, in the future, when we need to expand to 6 lanes, it minimizes the disruption on the traveling public because we've already added that concrete pavement.
And as you might imagine, commuters in that area are very excited to have the 9B option and the prospect of reducing their commute times. Here's what some of them told us.
We'll be able to access the south side a lot easier, as well as get over the JTB a lot sooner. You'll be able to take out that whole section of US 1, which with all the construction, it just in the morning, if you do commute, super backed up. So we're looking forward to it.
Oh, it'll impact us on a daily basis. We're very excited and hoping it really shaves off time on our daily commutes.
You're watching the award-winning Making Moves, North Florida's premier source for transportation news and information. There's no better place to be on game day than Everbank Field watching your hometown Jaguars. And there's no better way to get to the stadium than on the JTA Stadium Shuttle. Single game tickets start at just $7. Buy your tickets online at jtafla.com, at the JTA Admin Building downtown, or at any JTA Stadium Shuttle lot. The JTA Stadium Shuttle, your game day ride for 19 consecutive years.
Welcome back to Making Moves. Former JTA board chair and current member Ava Parker was recently honored by the Jacksonville Business Journal as a woman of influence. Parker was among 25 area women recognized at the Journal's 10th annual Women of Influence Award ceremony held at the Hyatt Regency downtown.
Let me say something about JTAs, because it's really because of you that I'm here today. So I want to thank my board members from the Jacksonville Transportation Authority and our director, Mr. Ford, for being here with me today. And you know, when you think about JTA, we are a part of what makes Jacksonville work. We move the community. So it's not just about the buses that you see, but it's the roads and the bridges that have made a difference. So I'm honored to be recognized by an agency that impacts and changes lives in our community.
Parker, who is currently president of the new Florida Polytechnic University in Lakeland, served as JTA board chair for 2 years and was also the chair of the North Florida Regional Transportation Study Commission. Now some news on another former JTA board chairman, Michael Cavendish. Cavendish and his wife are avid art collectors, in particular modern art pieces. Well, now he is sharing that love with the community, and you can see it in a very unlikely place, the Jacksonville Landing Food Court. Cavendish is responsible for bringing this freestanding exhibit that takes graffiti and other forms of street art and brings them to the food court. It's called Hot and Fresh, and it's unique and thought-provoking, especially in its presentation, which includes a menu detailing the names of the street artists and their work. The attention to detail is remarkable, considering the floor is actually lined with checkered food containers. Jacksonville Landing officials like the idea because it's so different. Cavendish says his not-for-profit art exhibit serves two purposes in the community.
Part of this is about getting the public reinvested in our downtown spaces, and certainly the Landing is our riverfront dining and entertainment asset, and it's probably the only one we're going to have for some foreseeable future, and so it's about getting the public reinvested into the Landing. The second part is education and enrichment in the field of contemporary art.
Because it is different, but we're downtown, we're a festival marketplace, and this makes sense.
While this is the first such art exhibit, Cavendish is already looking at other opportunities to showcase 21st century artists and their work. Of course, you can see this exhibit at the food court at the Jacksonville Landing through December 31st. Well, planning for North Florida's transportation future will get just a little help from our younger voices. That's because the North Florida Transportation Planning Organization is putting educators, engineers, and regional planners together to help students take a fun and educational look at mobility issues. The mentors and educators kicked off the Transportation Tomorrow competition sponsored by the TPO. There are 5 schools and more than 100 elementary, middle, and high school students participating. Combining science, technology, engineering, and math, the students will work in teams and write an essay describing their vision of the future of transportation. They will also build a physical model using recycled materials. The high school teams will also add a video to their project. TPO officials believe this is a perfect way to make sure that students have input in their Path Forward 2040 mobility study as they develop a transportation plan of the future.
Well, we're thrilled to have the region participate in this competition for the first time with over 30,000 students across the country. And we'll be able to bring about 115, 120 kids into the program to learn more about engineering, learn more about our community, and really have an opportunity to influence what they want to see for the future in North Florida.
I know when these kids graduate, we're going to see a difference in how they approach science, technology, and engineering, and I know that the percentage of them that are going to choose to pursue these fields, like we said, after school, is going to be greater than probably anywhere else in the district.
Well, the 5 schools participating are Westview K-8 and Lehigh in Duval County, Argyle Elementary in Clay, Yulee Middle School in Nassau, and the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind in St. Johns County. And joining us now is Denise Bunnywith, Planning Director with the North Florida Transportation Planning Organization, or commonly known as TPO. Denise, this is so exciting. We're so glad that you were able to join us today to just talk about it. But this is just really the beginning of your activities. Tell us about this Path Forward 2040 study. What is it?
Well, the TPO is required to update the long-range transportation plan every 5 years. Mm-hmm. The plan has to have a 20-year planning horizon. So our horizon this year, this time, is 2040. And the plan establishes priorities for the expenditure of federal highway and federal transit funds for the region. Our planning area is Clay, Duval, Nassau, and St. Johns counties. And this time we're also including Baker and Putnam counties.
Okay,
well.
So it is about regional planning, but it's kind of different from how you've done it before. This time you're involving students, you're involving teachers, and you're involving mentors. How did that come about?
Well, we realized one of the federal requirements is that we do a lot of public outreach. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing these plans since 1978. And we realized that most of the input we get is from middle-aged people. And we thought, who's going to be here using our transportation system in 2040? Well, it's going to be the young people So how could we get them engaged? And when we started looking around, we thought, well, the Future Cities model is really a good way to engage the young people and get input. And so that's what we decided to pursue.
That's what you did. And then to really make it work, you got some mentors involved in
Exactly.
it. Now, where are these mentors from?
They're from a number of organizations. We have mentors from JTA. We have
Yay!
4 mentors from JTA. Brad Thoburn, who was with you earlier, is one of them, but we have 3 others from JTA. We have mentors from, one from the TPO, me, one from the Florida Department of Transportation, and then we have a number coming from engineering and planning firms here in the area, HNTB, Reynolds Smith and Hill, England Timson Miller, Atkins Global, Cambridge Systematics, Landmark Engineering, Mescal Engineering, Peters and Jaffe, Kevel Enterprises, and Metro Jacksonville.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We absolutely appreciate it. It was back in February of 2008 when Making Moves debuted on public access cable. Just a year later, we launched a new monthly show on broadcast television with 24/7 access on the web. Now, 5 years later, our broadcasts are seen by hundreds of thousands of viewers each year in high definition. But for us here at Making Moves, it's always been about the people we meet and the unique and interesting stories we've been able to bring you. And joining us now are 2 of the people who have played a major role in bringing you those stories. Eugene Lindsay, who has been both in front of the camera and behind the camera covering the stories, and of course, Terry Casey, our senior correspondent and winner of the prestigious APTA Adwheel Award for his story, Mobility Lifeline. So let's begin with Terry, our senior correspondent. What is so interesting to you about working on Making Moves?
Making Moves is a great vehicle that allows us all the opportunity to go out, you mentioned people, and tell stories about people whose lives are touched in one way or another by JTA. And there are tons of stories about those people, and that's what's so special about it.
That's right, and we're still trying to uncover them, so we need help. Also, Eugene, what surprised you most about Making Moves?
Well, when you first think about transportation, you think, okay, what about transportation? And it really surprised me by the number of people that we meet, and no matter who you talk to, they have a real opinion about transportation, whether they use a mass transit system or if it's roads. That it's really a hot button issue for most people. And a lot of people don't shy away from sharing with you what their concerns are.
Oh, that's right. They're always happy to see us, just to get a moment to talk with us about it. So a lot of stories we've all covered. So what really resonates with you as you think about these stories?
Well, a couple. One that comes to mind is the overpass that's now over at the intersection of Atlantic Boulevard and Kernan Avenue. That area was an area where JSO were spending a lot of time tending accidents and a lot of deadly accidents. And they realized that something needed to be done. Survey was done, and from there they decided that we can do something with this problem, and JT was a pivotal part in building the overpass that's over that span now, and which has in turn cut down tremendously on the number of accidents that's there, and thus is saving some lives.
Oh, absolutely. What about you, Terry?
Well, you mentioned earlier the Mobility Lifeline story that we did. And I'd like to get personal with this, not necessarily personal about me, but about one of the people that was part of that story. Her name is Darlene Benson. She can't walk far because she goes through so much pain in just taking a few steps. She can't get around. She's wheelchair bound most of the time. She doesn't drive. And what she told us as we sat down and talked with Darlene was that her world was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But then she learned that JTA offers wheelchair accessible public transportation that can get her just about anywhere and everywhere she wants or needs to go. It's a Mobility Lifeline.
Patsy Glover is a friend of Darlene's and lives at the same Riverside apartment complex. Patsy uses a walker and, like Darlene, depends on the transit system.
Oh, the buses and the trolleys, that means a lot to me.
How would her life be different if buses and trolleys were not available?
Sometimes I wouldn't be getting out as much. It'd make a major difference.
Jim Bishop uses JTA as one way to reach a destination where he can use his chair to get around.
I could have family or friends take me, I could drive myself. But I depend on a mobility chair to get around. I can only walk a certain distance.
He says his life would be very different without transit availability.
I would be confined to very close by my living quarters here, my neighborhood.
Meanwhile, mission accomplished for Darlene. She mailed her package at the landing and caught a trolley for home. I ask if this gives her a sense of being able to reclaim at least some of her lost mobility.
Oh yeah, it gives me a lot of independence back, and that's what you're really asking. It keeps your world from being so small. And when our world's not so small, we don't feel as disabled.
In Riverside, Terry Casey for Making Moves.
The difference and what happened, what changed for her after that was, as she put it, my world got larger and larger and larger again, and it restored her a sense of independence for Darlene Benson, as well as her mobility.
And you know, that's what we can really do for people with JTA. It's all about the mobility, it's all about access to mobility and just being able to be independent, get around and do what you want to do. And that was one of my best stories too, was about a 92-year-old Arlington woman, Bernadine Jensen. You remember that?
We went through that together.
What a lady, 92-year-old. She could drive, but her kids told her don't drive. And so she wasn't driving, she was taking the community shuttle. Another story, you guys, the Dames Point Bridge, how everybody, before it was built, they thought bridge to nowhere, but how such an integral part of what we do daily is the Dames Point Bridge. JTA.
JTB was the same way. They called that the road to nowhere, and look what it has done. And all the development along that strip. We did a story on that. And that was the history of this area, and Northeast Florida in general is absolutely mind-blowing. It's wonderful.
And you know, one more story that we cannot forget, and it's going to really be the one that's going to take us into the future, is the Regional Transportation Planning Study. Right. I mean, that is just so important to everything that JTA stands for now and wants to be to our entire region. So a lot of good things going on, and we're helpful.
You know what? Eugene and I, during the course of the regional transportation study and the commission and all that, the hearings and everything, we visited every single county, in what would be the region, and it turned into a 6-month series or a 7-month series.
Oh, absolutely. And if you think about it, our new CEO, Nat Ford, he has so much energy, he's so energetic, and he's ready to go, and he's ready to tackle what we need in this area to make us truly accessible to everyone and a mobility leader in the nation, really, if you think about it. So we have a lot going on.
Nothing can hold us back, really.
Nothing can hold us back. And you know, we appreciate you guys for helping us cover this and bring this to our audience. We appreciate you so much for that. And of course, just any favorite memory before we...
Oh, favorite memory.
Go.
Well, it's always
I'm
fun.
afraid. I'm afraid, guys.
I'm just saying, it's always fun being out there, meeting so many people. But one of the favorite memories I really got some pleasure in covering this story was when we dealt with the magnet school issue and the bus and students taking the bus. And I was just so, enthralled by the number of young kids who were taking JTA and utilizing JTA buses rather than school buses to get to their magnet schools. And that's really the future of transportation in Jacksonville. If we can get more younger people involved in utilizing JTA and mass transit, we could really open up as a real mass transit city.
One of mine is sitting down with a 79-year-old gentleman who was in his 20s when he became one of the first black bus drivers in Jacksonville history. His name is Mr. Amos Ely, and his story took us through glimpses of the civil rights movement and its effect on Jacksonville, the changing face of Jacksonville, and what his first job meant to him. And I got to tell you, Amos drove for JTA behind the wheel for 36 years. And what a wonderful man he is, and a credit to JTA as well as just our city in general.
Oh, absolutely. And one of my favorite memories has to be the new driver training. Oh, and I forgot. I got to say this is Ramon Farfan.
On his bus route, he's known more by his badge number, Operator 1891. But veteran JTA bus driver Ramon Farfan is much more than just a number. He's a champion. 5 years ago, Farfan took his first stab at the local bus rodeo, which challenges the driver's skills behind the wheel. Since then, he's won 2 state titles and finished in the top 5 at the international competition. But Farfan craved more, and last month in Long Beach, he got more. Farfan worked out all the kinks to bring home the International Bus Rodeo Driving Championship to Jacksonville and the JTA.
It's very difficult to do. It's not something that anybody could just go up there and compete and win.
Our famous bus driver.
Our famous bus operator for JTA.
Yes.
He's so delightful. He's so personable, and gee, he's award-winning.
And talking about a man who loves his job, he really loves being a part of this.
And it makes such a difference. And you know, all of us love our job, and we also love our executive producer, Bill. Thank you so much. For 5 years, we're going on 6 years now. We certainly could not have done it without our team and the behind-the-scenes team that is with us in the studio every month. We appreciate them, and we appreciate FSCJ so much for making all of this happen for us. So we just, you know, it's a thank you fest, definitely, but it's real.
I got one more thank you.
It's real. Yes.
Folks who are watching right now, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. You have made it so possible for us to do this. And we really encourage you to send us story ideas. Hit us on Facebook. Whatever you need to do to get in touch with us, it all makes such a big difference. And our Facebook page, by the way, is facebook.com/JTA Making Moves. So we encourage you to always stay in touch with us. And that wraps up Season 5 of Making Moves. We're so grateful you took some time to join us today. Remember, Making Moves is always available online at jtafla.com and on our YouTube channel, JTA 904. You can also find exclusive web-only content on our Facebook page. And of course, we'll be posting some of our favorite stories from previous seasons, so please be sure to check it out. On behalf of CEO Nat Ford, Executive Producer Bill Milnes, and the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danforth. Thank you for 5 great years, and we'll see you next time on our Season 6 premiere.